All right, we are doing it. We doing it. I'm excited. I'm rolling. We're rolling. Male confidence is closer than ever. The full package. You're gonna get it. Like what we're doing now, fellas. I want you to understand that we're going to a different level with this course. I am pretty sure that you've seen the difference in how we're kicking it now. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. I'm relaxed. I'm more in a sharing mode as far as the information that I'm giving you. And this is going to be important as we go along, and it's going to really benefit you to realize I told you this now. And you'll see we're kicking it as peers. If you think about it, up to now, I have kept you as close to having a positive attitude as far as your mind goes as possible. That's what we've been doing. We've been enjoying the positive effects of learning to have male confidence. 2.0, we've been doing some things here. Everything we've been talking about has been pure confidence up to this point at the highest levels. So right now we are going into second gear. We're going to switch from that first gear and we're going into second gear, and we're going to learn how to make real approaches. I mean, real-time approaches as far as not really walking up to her approaches, but in our minds, our approach in our mind. Our mind is going to become very important. It's already been important, but it's going to become even more important as we get into part 2. We're going to use a couple of things we learned in 1.0, in the second part of 1.0, and we're going to take that and we're going to actually expound on it. Even though 1.0 is over, it doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's done. We're gonna go. We're gonna really use 1.0 now in this. You're gonna have little exercises. You're gonna have little exercises to do, and if you do them, they're gonna help you seal in your mind the fact that not only are you an alpha male, but you've gotten your stuff together so much to such an extent there is very little that can touch you now. But we're going to go even further into this because we're going to show you how that little that can touch you can be eliminated. We're getting busy. We're going to be perking, baby. All right, listen. In order for this part of the course to really work, to do what you want it to do what I designed it to do, there's 4 hard rules. 4 hard rules that we're going to have to deal with and we're going to have to accept. The first rule, the very first rule, is that you have to agree. It's not even a rule, it's just something, a pact that we're going to make between each other, me and you. You have to agree that you're going to use these techniques that I show you every single day, every single night, every single time you have an opportunity to use them. There is going to be no times that something occurs where you could use these techniques and you don't. We have to agree to that. Excuse me. Can we? Can we agree that you will use these techniques at every opportunity? All right, you know what? I'm going to trust you. I believe you. So, now see, I keep notes. You know I keep them. You should see from me keeping my notes how serious I am about this. But I just want you to understand. I want you to just understand it's important what we're doing. This is not something to take lightly. Therefore, I want you to keep little notebooks in your back pocket, wherever. I don't care, in your glove compartment. I don't care where you keep this notebook. But I want it to be available to you at all times. because you're going to jot down things that you observed in your approaches to women, because that's going to be a very important aspect of learning what 2.0 has to show you. Now, in order for what you've already learned to translate to sustained confidence, you have to realize it all starts with what you say or think to yourself. That's where it all begins. Everything begins with what you say or think to yourself. Now, in this part of the course, you're going to use what you learned in the first part of the course, and it's going to monitor your negativity. That first part, what you learned in the first part, you're going to use that to monitor the negativity you experience. And you're going to monitor that negativity to such a degree that it's going to begin to disappear from your conversation. This is what we're actually after. This is what we're trying to get to, where we don't experience negativity. We don't think these negative thoughts. This is a process, and we're getting into it, and you're going to learn it right now. See, there is a way alpha men think. That's all it is to it. There is a way we think. There's a way we talk. See, in this part of the course, we're going to learn these ways, and we're going to learn how to incorporate them in you. We're going to incorporate it into your language as far as what you say. We're going to incorporate it into your being as far as how you act. It's very important to understand this part, or these new parts of the confidence that's coming to you now. Don't forget anything you've learned, but pay attention to this, because this is what is essential. See, alpha men rarely ever speak about what we can't do. Now, we may get something that we're trying to do, and it may be a little more difficult than we thought it would be. But when we put our minds to it, we're going to do it, because we don't think about what we can't do. See, what we do is think about, well, maybe I need to learn a little more about this right here so I can do it better. We might say something like that instead of what we can't do. Hey, man, I can't. No, we don't do that. You stop doing that. And I'm going to show you how. Everything I tell you, of course, is new. But I'm not going to just tell it to you and leave you there. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to incorporate it in your life. Now, what you got to understand about what we're getting into is that it's not you could do it 80% or 90%. You have to do this 100%. And you have to agree with me that you're going to do it 100%. The second rule is a fact, and it's important to understand. You have to watch how you let thoughts into your head. You just can't let things come into your space. You got to monitor how you let things come into your mind, because the way you take them in is very important. The way you take information in is almost as important as the information is itself. And I want you to understand these little things I'm telling you about. We're leading up to some big things. And I want you to understand these little things first. These are little things, but they're very important things. Don't get past these little things. The third rule is really important. All negative referrals. Anything negative referring to a goal or an accomplishment, anything negative referring to a goal or accomplishment that you intend to do or have done is from this point on banned. You cannot have it in your conversation at all. It is banned. Anything negative. Now, the way you implement this into your life, I told you, I won't just tell you stuff to do. I'll show you how to do it. The way you implement this into your life is very simple. You just have to catch yourself. You have to catch yourself whenever you say something or are about to say something, you're about to think something negative about something you intend to do. Anytime you think something negative, you're about to think something negative, about to think something negative, or say something negative, or think something negative about something that you're going to do, you're going to catch yourself. Now, this is especially so when it comes to social interactions. Over a short period, you're going to learn how to master thinking correctly. Over this portion of the course, you're going to learn how to master thinking correctly. This is dope that I'm giving you. You're going to also learn how to limit thinking negatively during your conversations. I'm going to show you all of that in this part of the course. Now, the way you do both of those things is to catch and rephrase any negative you're about to say. Any negative that you're about to do, you want to catch and rephrase it in real time. It's not something you could do later. This has to be done in real time. You got to understand that. It has to be done in real time. The fourth rule is when you're out, you have to write down what took place so you can revisit it. Otherwise, if you went to speak to somebody and whatever happened, write it down. If you did this, whatever happened, write it down. See, because what's going to happen is you're going to revisit these situations and you're going to change the scenario by just making something up. But what you're doing is using real life, real time stuff to make these alternate scenarios up. And I'll explain this to you later, but this is developing something, and I want you to, this is something you need, not want, this is something you need. You need to develop what we're talking about right now. Your mental eye. There's a mental eye we're developing here. I'll talk to you about it later. But this is what we're doing here. We're developing a mental eye. Now, you also have to compliment yourself. You have to compliment your actions as you see them happen in real time. You want to write some of these things that you compliment yourself down as well as things you just simply observe. Because your notebook, depending on how well you write notes, depending on what's important to you in real time, it's going to determine how far and how fast you grow. So I would suggest you write every damn thing down, because everything is important and everything deserves 3 or 4 scenarios. I'm just telling you. Think like this and you're going to be a winner. Listen to me. Anytime you see yourself catch something, anytime you see yourself catch something like, you thought she was going to say whatever she said, and she said it. Let's say you thought she was going to say, I can do that. And she said, I probably can do that. See, compliment yourself. Right then, man, I caught it down. Do it. I'm going to explain it to you as we go, but do it. Compliment yourself in real time. See, when you compliment yourself, it's going to make you remember it. And I'll tell you about remembering it in a minute. Matter of fact, I'll tell you about it now. You remembered every single one of your failed attempts. You remembered every single one of them, and you used them against you because they were failed attempts. So now, like I told you in the first part of 2.0, we're learning to flip stuff. And we're learning to flip. So now we're going to flip it. And we're going to remember it as a victory. And we're going to be remembering our victories, so we can savor them later as we think about them and go over the things that we're going to go over to make you a winner. Flipping can be seen like insertion. We did insertion. I think it was the second part of the 1.0, and we started talking about inserting thoughts, different thoughts. We're having negative thoughts. Let's insert a positive thought. It's kind of like that, but it's very different, and we're going to understand the difference, and the difference is what's going to make you sharp. See, remember, we learned that we can insert almost any thought we want to into any situation that we want, and we can deal with that thought. We don't have to deal with the thought that real life made us deal with. See, flipping is sort of the same way, but instead of changing a thought, we're going to change real life situations. And we're going to rephrase or reshape those situations. Otherwise, when you get ready to respond to something and you start out saying, I can't do, man, kill that. Catch it and kill it. And you say something like, I have to spend more time learning, and then say your statement. If you take the time to monitor your words and how you allow them to come into your mind and relate to your mentality, if you take the time to do this, you'll be in a position to retrain your way of voicing your thoughts. So starting now, I want you to start paying more attention to the positives that you experience while you're out and about. See, you don't know this, but I know this. You've been paying more attention to the negatives. You go home with the negatives. This is why we're retraining ourselves, so you can start going home with the positives, no matter how small they are. This is why you need your notebook. So that even those little tiny positives that you forget by the end of the night, you're going to go over them, you're going to make them important to your overall well-being and your overall mentality. That little notebook is going to become important to you because your achievements and everything you do or need to do is going to be in that little notebook. And you're going to, start all of this. You're going to start it all by jotting things down. The positive words, the positive phrases that you get from women anytime you're out. Any of that, jot it down. See, then we can talk about it on my show if that's the case. We can go over it if that's the case. But what you're really doing is you're learning the value of having positive things to think. That's really what's going on. You're going to learn the value of speaking with positive words only, especially when it comes to your experiences. Because whether you know it or not, you've been speaking with negative words only. That's why shit is like it is. We're changing that, right? You're going to have to incorporate positive words to express or describe anything that you're involved in. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to learn to do it, and you're going to have to accept it's necessary to do. You really need to understand what we're doing. By now, I am sure, or I want to be sure, that you can see the differences between a alpha man and a beta man. Both of these men are desirable men, Beta dudes are not just like something to walk over. They're actually cool dudes. They're just not alpha. And as I said, both of these men are desirable. But let me tell you something. The man that you've become, the man that you're becoming, you can't accept being beta because it's second place. And the way you're becoming, the way you're growing, the way you're seeing yourself, you cannot accept second place. You won't accept it. It's utterly unfathomable for you to accept second place, like a beta man will do. See, both of these men are desirable, as I say. That's why you have to take notes. And you have to use them in your studies at home, during you studying this course or after you study this course. Once you've taken it, once you've learned it, you still need to take notes and use them. Because as you're going through this course, I'm telling you, the notes are going to be important for your learning. They're going to actually gauge what you learned. A continuous or a recurring theme in your mind concerning 2.0 should be how not to worry about what don't work and how to concentrate on what does work. This is an underlying theme that's going to be playing throughout 2.0. The reason that you want to concentrate on what works is because it will become part of your mental arsenal. 2.0, we already have a verbal arsenal that we developed in 1.0. In 2.0, we're developing a mental arsenal. It's just as devastating as a verbal arsenal. And you can use both of them, mental or verbal. The same subject will have a mental arsenal and a verbal arsenal. And you can choose either one. This is the dope I'm giving you. Follow with me. Just stay with me. The reason, like I say, you concentrate on what works is because it's become your arsenal. You're going to learn that the things that work will be what you think about to make you desirable. Fellas, think about this. When you're talking to a woman, you're thinking about all the things that don't work, and you're trying to have a conversation. She feels it. She picks it up. It's all a part of her rejecting you. That's why we're going to start thinking about what does work. So she can feel that. So she can feel the positive shit that you're feeling from your knowledge of what does work. Are you starting to see the importance of that notebook? Are you starting to see the importance of that notebook? Bro, I'm finna take you all away. Just deal with me. See, thinking about and doing what has worked for you, also improving it. Every time you use it, doing something to make it better, or at least trying to do something to make it better. See, that's going to become a way of life for you. And once that happens, man, I'm telling you, you're going to be so on your way. I just get chills thinking about it. See, another one of the first things you want to get used to is flipping a negative statement a woman made to you to your advantage. And see, we're getting there, but this is where the real game comes in. This is where you really learn how to play, because you're playing. I'm finna show you things to do to play. Man, you guys. See, think about this. First of all, you're going to flip a negative statement that a woman made to your advantage, which is why you wrote it down. So you can go over it and see this negative statement, and by changing it and flipping it, you're going to make it to your advantage. Something simple like this. Just take this scenario here. I'm somewhere and I see this woman and I say whatever, I'm finna talk to her. Excuse me, but I saw you from across the room and had to come over here and introduce myself. My name is Daniel Boone. And she says immediately, "I'm sorry, but I'm in such a rush, I cannot begin to have a conversation." Now, what I'm finna show you is so dope that you may want to sit down and fasten your seatbelts. Because you see, you could see this as a polite rejection. But from now on, the way we playing, you're going to see this, and anything like this, any matter like this, you're going to see it as an opportunity to sell yourself. An opportunity to sell yourself. And you do that by flipping the situation. Now, in this scenario, you flip the entire situation. Actually, in any scenario, you flip the entire situation by making a pass at her on the sly. Now, let me show you how I'm going to make a pass at that motherfucking woman. And I'm going to show you how doing this shit works. Now, she didn't say she can't talk because she's so busy, woo woo woo. I'm going to tell her, and I can only imagine that I will definitely be the one who loses. It will be my loss. But even though you're in a hurry, how much effort or how much time will it take for you to take my card? And only if it's all right or you feel that, I'm worthy of it, maybe you can text me or call me a little later and we can meet at 31 Flavors or Pete's Coffee somewhere and, talk. And I'm going to hand her my card. See, this is what we're going to learn in this part of the course. I'm so creaming on what I just said, man. I almost lost my thought. Because that was dope that I just dropped on her. Because, see, what you're going to learn right now is how to handle a rejection. And you're going to learn that handling a rejection is completely dependent on how you respond to the remark she made. Don't be worried or concerned, really, with the remark she made. Be concerned with how you handle it. This is your concern. If she said something like that a smart aleck would say, then, you have to say something offsetting. With very little aggression is how you're going to, really offset her. Because when a woman comes with a smart aleck remark, she's expecting you to be angry and pursue this in an aggressive manner. But the aggression you're using, she haven't seen before. And we going to play that motherfucker. Oh, excuse me. We going to play her with what we do. See, now, what happened with this lady is that, she didn't want to talk. She didn't want to talk, but she also did not want to be rude. Did you check that? See, you got to check every little thing. This is how you play. Because being the seer that you're going to become, you're going to become a seer, not a looker. See, being the seer that going to become, I saw quickly that she didn't want to be rude. She didn't want to talk. So I came at her where she would have to accept my card. Just to stay with what she's already established. She don't want to talk. She's in a hurry. So she got to take my card to make this happen. I thought of this. And I played. I did that. So I also showed her, I respected her desire to not, talk right now. She's in a rush. All of this is subliminally going to play on her mind when the conversation is over. So, what could have been or could have ended up as a stone cold rejection turned into a possibility of something cool happening for me. Why? Because I know how to flip. It don't mean you're going to win right now, go to bed, fuck her, all that. I don't know. I ain't trying to do all that. All I'm trying to do is make her not leave the situation or the environment thinking what she thought at first. I want her thinking what I made her think. That's where my head is. That's how I play. That's how you should play. This is how you have to be thinking in every situation. or potential situation that you run into. You got to be thinking this way. We are going into what the important factors about a man are to a woman. We're going into that a little deeper, but I'm tying it all in to making you catch. Making you a catch magnet. You already know, I hope you already know, the 5 basic factors that are essential for men. I hope you know those 5 factors. But you may not, you may have overlooked them, and I'm not going to let you slip or slide. So, I will tell them to you. Integrity, honesty, manhood, leadership, and parental qualities are the 5 basic qualities you need as a man. These qualities you already have. But it's the qualities that you're not 100% in. Those are the ones that we are interested in. Basic qualities you have. They may not be 100%, but you have them. The qualities that we're going to talk about you didn't have, and you only gained them since 1.0. You've only gained these qualities that we're going to discuss since you took the confidence course. The quality of conceit that you've let remain in your mind underdeveloped. You had conceit in your mind all the time. Anytime you thought what you was right or correct or fuck everybody else, you were being conceited. You just denied yourself. That quality of selfishness that you've not fully gotten an understanding of. You know, we're going to address these things. Those two especially. We're increasing that quality of being confident in your thoughts. I mean, you already know that your thoughts, your thinking has improved. I know you know it, I know it, but you can still see in room for improvement, and you want it. You can still see it and you want it. You want to improve. That's a quality that you have. But we're going to improve that quality also. Because those qualities I just mentioned, initially, you didn't have any of them. But now that you've gone through 1.0, you have some of all of those qualities. You have some of all of them. And now we're going to build on what you have. Rosebud does not just talk shit. Rosebud talk hella shit, but not just shit. I talk real shit. And we getting into it right now. You're going to see how real what I talk about is. See, once your conceit and selfishness is up to a respectable level, we're going to try some of the things that I've already told you about, but you didn't really understand them when I told them about you. I mentioned them, and when I mention them again, you'll remember me mentioning them. But you didn't know what you're going to know about them, because I'm going to tell you some real shit. You might not have missed the significance of it when I brought it up before, but now you're going to take this information and use it to your advantage. See, confidence is not something that has to be spoken. You don't have to do anything for confidence to be felt or noticed. You don't. You might think you do, which I'm sure some of you still think, but you don't. Something as simple as challenging a woman to a stare-down contest is worth every effort you put into it. It's worth every effort you put into making it work for you. Now, the reason a stare-down or any other challenge will work with a woman is it'll get the woman concentrating on you. Mental game is hella important. So you tell her, you give her a challenge, and if you're really talking about the challenge, you may or may not win. You don't want that. But if you know for a fact that giving her or offering her or presenting her with a challenge is going to make her react a certain way, you know how to make that certain reaction in your favor. This is how sharp you got to be. You got to know stuff. In a stare down. I would tell her, I bet you can't look at me as long as I could look at you without blinking. And I would say it, and whatever, for coffee or whatever, ice cream, whatever I'd make as what you're going to win. Because I know I'm going to win. I don't really want shit but her time. But I know this. So I'm going to tell her this. Now, I'm going to start out. She said, okay, I bet I can. I'm going to start out at a particular position. I'm going to do a whole bunch of shit. I'll make my body move, and then I'm going to get serious. And I'm going to stare like that. I'm going to start at a particular distance because I got game. And I know what I'm finna do. I'm finna use this distance that I'm starting out at to my advantage. How do you do that? It's my distance. I started it, so why don't I lessen it? What I'm saying is this. You start at a particular distance. And if you're just staring at her like a sucker, you ain't gonna win. But if you staring at her and she's staring at you and you making eye motions and you doing shit, but you're not blinking and you doing shit and you're getting closer and 15, 20 seconds go by and you do some more shit and you get a little closer and you keep doing little things that make her occupy her mind with you instead of not blinking. Because we're thinking about not blinking. Me and you. She's thinking about, wow, this guy, she's just looking at everything I'm doing. And don't let me be making eye motions. Don't, doing this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to blink to do that. But she does. And when I get close enough, whatever in her mind is I'm like invading her space, she's going to blink. She's going to blink. And I'm going to win. Now, it's no big deal. But what it did, what is the big deal, is for those moments, she was totally into you. If you don't use that to your advantage, then I don't know what to tell you. She was into you. She reacted to everything you did. You got to understand the importance of that, the power in that. You got to understand you made this happen because of what you know. See, hopefully, just hopefully, you've taken the time. Of course, you got some confidence, but did you take the time to learn anything about women? Because that's who you're actually dealing with. That's who you want. That's what's going to make you happy as far as achieving the confident level you need, seducing women. Have you taken the time to learn them? I can only hope that in what you've undertaken, you understand the importance of knowing who you're dealing with, knowing your prey. See, to understand your prey, when I talk about that kind of stuff, see, I want to clarify. I'm not talking about but one thing. I'm not talking about all the other things that you can imagine from me saying understand your prey. I'm talking about one thing. And in order for us to understand that one thing, we have to be able to separate the meanings of sympathy and empathy. We do not want to empathize with women, but we do want to understand them. So we have a sort of sympathy for them. Now, it's very important to distinguish these two words when you're dealing with women, especially women with problems. But with women in general, it is very important to understand the difference between these words. When you actually get to a point where you care enough about a woman to actually sit and listen to her problems, you might have actually developed more than a physical attraction for her, and you might want to, do a little. I'll explain some things that you should do in that case. Of course, you've only, recently begun to enjoy your doggone life as a confident man, a confident single man. So you have to, be careful at this point. You have to be careful, and your selfishness needs to really come out now. When you start thinking about you like this lady a little more than sex, you have to start thinking very selfish after that. You have to. It needs to come out in full force. You have to make hard decisions at this point. And you have to understand where you're at in life at this point. Because you cannot ignore her needs if you're actually thinking about going further than